In healthcare, there is often too much information and not enough time. Here at the Melanin Initiative, we avoid TMI by breaking things down into language you can understand. We create a safe space for you to ask your questions and share a nursing perspective without taking up too much of your time. Today, we're joined by a new special guest, Dr. Latanya Ford Williams, a doctorally prepared nurse with a lot of credentials. We're going to learn all about them. And we're going to talk about the relationship between obesity, nutrition, and infertility. If you're new here, welcome to the Melanin Initiative. I'm Dr. Kimberly Madison, a doctorally prepared nurse practitioner and one of your co-hosts here at the Melanin Initiative. We're, along with Alicia and Geraldine, who's sitting there loving their absence, we're a health literacy podcast. When we say health literacy, we're talking about your ability to obtain information, to understand that information, and then to use it to manage your health and advocate for others. It's our hope that by watching on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook, or listening on any of your favorite podcast apps, that you'll be empowered to ask questions, educated on how you can navigate the healthcare system, and confident that you can go home and manage your health. So that's our primary goal. Our second goal is to elevate the voice of nurses, like we're going to do here today. We're going to show off Dr. Latanya's expertise. And while so many of us grow up being encouraged to be a doctor or a nurse, once we get in this field, we realize that there's thousands of jobs. And so we want to bring attention to those jobs because sometimes, while being a nurse and a doctor are great choices, they do come with debt and time away from your family, increased rate of burnout, sacrifices that sometimes you can avoid if you choose another path. And so we just like to bring on everyone who's on the healthcare team, everyone who's part of this industry, which is one of the top 10 industries in the country, takes up the greatest percentage of the GDP. And so it plays an important role in our day-to-day lives. And sometimes we really don't know what we're agreeing to. And so if we bring people on to share their expertise, we have a bunch of series going so you can learn as people go throughout their education, so you can learn directly through them. And we want to thank you for your continued support. As the time that you're watching this, we're entering our second year, and we wouldn't have made it this far without the public support. But a huge, huge appreciation goes to our nursing community because you guys have helped get us to this point, and we couldn't be more grateful. And we want to thank you for that. Remember, this show is for educational purposes only. The opinions expressed here are opinions alone. They are not a representation of any of our affiliations. If you think you might be experiencing a medical emergency, you should seek medical attention and medical guidance from your healthcare provider. If you think you might be having a physical emergency, you can call 911. If you or someone you know might be having a mental health emergency, you can call 988 or text 741-741. Dr. Latanya Ford Williams, welcome to the Melanin Initiative podcast.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Kimberly Mason.
So everyone can't see your credentials on the screen, but I can see quite a few of them. Can you let us know what all the initials are behind your name?
And I want to correct myself there, Dr. Madison.
Oh, it's okay.
um, so, so yes, I have a doctorate of nurse practitioner, just like yourself. I also have special certifications and credentials in obesity and weight management. So the CBN is a certified bariatric nurse. That's through the Metabolic and Bariatric Surgery Society. The CSWOM, and I'm probably saying it backwards there, that's through the American Academy of Dietetics and Weight Management as well. I'm also a certified case manager. And so, as you mentioned earlier, you were talking about the different career paths and the different ways that we, I guess, have entered the healthcare field. This is really my journey and my process into healthcare and how I guess, service the community.
Wonderful. If you can tell us where you're from and who you consider family.
I am from Cleveland, Ohio. Right before we hopped on, we were talking about the weather, right? And so today it is a balmy 78 degrees here in Cleveland, Ohio, which is a treat for us. Usually we have gray skies. But born and raised here, went to school here as well, both undergrad and graduate school as well. I'm married. I'm married to my high school sweetheart here for the last 16 years. We have three beautiful children, 22, 18, and 14. I know I look like a baby, right? But yeah, this is where I call home, and this is where I'll most likely stay.
Well, congratulations on the longevity of your marriage.
Thank you.
And if you could give us a brief story of your nursing journey.
So I always wanted to be a nurse. When I interacted with the healthcare system and uh, in the hospital system as a child, I loved going to the doctor's offices. I just loved the hustle and bustle of the hospitals, and really watching the staff just do their thing during my well child visits. And that's what really kind of sparked me to want to be a nurse. I remember walking into the hospital and just being in awe. Couldn't wait to be seen by the doctors and the teams there. At the time, I wasn't really quite sure who did what and what their titles were. I just was intrigued with healthcare. And then right after high school, I went on to pursue a bachelor's degree at Ursuline College, which is in Pepper Pike here in the state of Ohio, just a suburb right outside of Cleveland. Um, I received my bachelor's degree in 2005. Um, Worked in med surge and or medical surgical unit, which is where a lot of us nurses started, right? At least that's what we were, told to make sure you get those foundational skills, under your belt. So I worked there, and then I moved on to case management, which is why I have the certification in case management and in home care. Returned back to school in 2012 and graduated in 2014 with a master's of nursing. Same institution, Ursuline College, and then returned in 2020 for my doctorate of nursing practice, and graduated in 2022. So that's been my journey in nursing, and I have to say it has definitely prepared me this far. I can't say that I planned all of that when I started, but definitely no regrets.
Wonderful. At the time that we're filming this, it's October 2024, and we just finished celebrating the 19th, which represents DNPs of Color Day, October
Mhm.
19th to the 25th, which is DNP Week, and then the 25th marks the 20th year of the DNP degree itself. And of course, every October, the DNP of Color Conference, and in 2025, will be in Oakland. Shout out to Dr. Danielle McCamey, the president, founder, and CEO of DNPs of Color. Are you part of the family?
Yes, I am. I just got back from Philadelphia. Wonderful, wonderful conference there. Definitely was renewed and recharged and ready to go out into the community, and just keep moving forward and really, really serving the community. So yes, I am part of DNPs in Color, proud member, and shout out to Dr. McCamey.
And remember, everyone, you don't have to be a DMP to sit with us. Everyone's welcomed at the table. We have membership options for everyone. You don't have to have a DMP. You don't have to be a nurse. You don't even have to be in healthcare. Curious, what was your DMP project?
It was in obesity.
Oh,
Uh, it was really implementing clinical practice guidelines and evidence based practice into primary care as it relates to obesity. Um, so really worked with the clinical team and the providers of my at the time hospital system in implementing some evidence-based practice into the system for the treatment of obesity.
and did you disseminate your work after graduation?
I have not. I have not. I look forward to that day with maybe some strong editing. Um, but yeah. And what about you, Dr. Madison?
Well, let me just say we do have a mentorship to manuscript pathway program at DMPs of Color. So
Hmm.
you can check that out. What was my project?
Yes. What was your
Antibiotic.
project?
It was antibiotic stewardship for asymptomatic bacteria in older adults residing in long-term care at the end of life.
A mouthful there, but definitely, definitely needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any suggestions for students who are watching right now and they're just trying to they're trying to one, figure out what to do and how they can get a site?
One step at a time, and keep your options open. You never know what you will be, intrigued by. I never really saw myself when I set out to be a registered nurse that I would end up in weight management, but it's definitely something I have absolutely fallen in love with. And it was through my first job working in bariatric surgery that led me on a path to weight management and obesity care. So yeah, keep your options open. Try many things. Shadow. Look for mentors. You never know.
And like I said, as we're filming this is October 2024, and Med Surge Week is coming up. I'm curious, what's your thoughts on starting in Med Surge? That whole uh, controversial conversation on where new grads should begin.
Yeah, I think it's controversial, and I have mixed feelings about it as well. I think it's definitely an opportunity where you can kind of hone in and develop those foundational skills straight out of nursing school. To really kind of uh, put theory to practice. But then again, I also think maybe it's not so bad to specialize if you really have a heart for a specific area. And ultimately, it's about, again, who you want to serve and where your talents best match up. So, I can see arguments for both, but wherever the opportunity is, go for it.
Wonderful. So we started the show. I shared our mission with health literacy, elevating the expertise of nurses, and we love to promote entrepreneurship. So if you
Mm-hmm.
could tell us what inspired you to start Forward Weight and Wellness.
Uh, that's a loaded question because it was multiple things. I really just felt like it was just time for me to move on.
Mm,
I've been a registered nurse. It'll be 20 years this January. Um, like I stated before, I have a wide range of experience from hospital to home care to insurance to outpatient. It was just the next step in my career, and so I always kind of had this calling to want to do something more and to want to really put my own stamp on the community. And so when the opportunity presented itself that, what, this may be a good time to transition and really step out on faith and bet on myself. And so that's what I did. Actually, I'm coming up on a year this November. And this coming December, I would have been a year actually seeing patients. Um, but this time last year was when I actually left the healthcare system, and that was a big step to want to leave the healthcare system and want to create my own. But since doing it, I haven't looked back. I'm so thankful from the support of the community, from my colleagues, and just for the opportunity. Being an entrepreneur, you wear a lot of hats, right? I always say I'm the CEO, the CIO, the chief financial officer. I'm everything. But again, it's not anything that I'm regretting, and I'm looking forward to continuing on my journey here.
Hi, I'm Alicia from the Melanin Initiative podcast. Our mission is twofold. One, to simplify complex health information so you feel empowered to ask questions, educated on how to manage your health, and confident to navigate the healthcare system. And two, to elevate the expertise of nurses, spotlight the diverse career opportunities within the healthcare industry, and inform our peers how to leverage their expertise as clinicians and entrepreneurs. In less than 2 years, we've grown to over 50,000 views and 1,000 downloads, with an international audience spanning the US, Canada, the UK, Australia, and more. Our engaged listeners are professionals, entrepreneurs aged 25 to 44 who value authentic, impactful content. Want to connect with this dynamic audience? Advertise with us. Send in your 1 minute video ad and let's amplify your brand. Email tmi.melanin@gmail.com for rates and details. Let's work together.
We love it. And we're going to get into this relationship between infertility and weight loss, weight
Mm-hmm.
management, which, by the way, has become, it's always been a big thing, right? But
Mm-hmm.
certainly there's been a big uptick in seeing more kind of buy-in from the public with the use of prescriptions, which we're going to be getting in more with this podcast specifically. But we're super excited. We put out a call to get more infertility specialists coming on, and you answered that call. And the fact that we can now talk about the relationship between infertility and weight management is super exciting for us. We want to shout out Tiffany Lewis English, who came on and shared her personal journey with infertility and endometriosis during October. And she taught
Mm-hmm.
us about pregnancy and infant loss awareness, which takes place on October 15th, specifically at 7 p.m., where you light a candle to recognize that special time in people's lives that doesn't get a lot of attention.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you could tell us what drew you to this whole relationship between infertility and weight management.
Again, it's one of those things that just kind of found me
Mm,
because there's such a close relationship between obesity and infertility. I found myself being referred patients who were having trouble getting pregnant. And so they were referred by their infertility specialist and infertility team to lose weight. And so that's how I was introduced to the whole relationship, and the different causes related to infertility, and how it relates to obesity.
perfect. So, can you just tell us the connection between obesity and reproductive health, particularly when it comes to communities of color?
Certainly. So, uh, as you know, here in the African American and Black community, we hold the highest rates of obesity. Specifically for Black women, Black women have uh, whole rates of 59%, according to the CDC, of obesity. Obesity is closely related to PCOS, or polycystic ovarian syndrome, and obesity can certainly affect how one ovulates, um, and in turn, how one even carries out their pregnancy, how a woman would carry out her pregnancy. And so, therefore, weight loss, improvements in nutrition, improvements in stress, and just overall wellness, what we find is that as women lose weight, their fertility improves. It was actually by accident that I saw this happen at first, working in weight management. Just regular old referral for weight management. I'm here to lose weight. And a couple months later, she's lost weight. And after a while, I don't see her anymore. This is actually a story of quite a few women. Then maybe a year or so later, here we are for a follow up appointment, and I'm like, well, who's this? There's a infant in the car seat, and well, we have a surprise for you. This is why I haven't been here, because I got pregnant, and not necessarily even trying to get pregnant. Um, and that's when I started to personally dig deeper into the issues of infertility and really start to make the connection. And it doesn't require a lot of weight loss. in order to improve infertility for women, which uh, kind of threw me by surprise. Again, like I said, I kind of stumbled into this by accident. Like, wow, she only lost 20 pounds, 30 pounds, and, now she finds herself, um, pregnant and had a healthy pregnancy and a healthy baby here. And so, again, that was through those connections for weight manage. I'm sorry, and obesity, and for, like you said, for people of color.
Yeah, I think I would be surprised too at the number. Is that a common question that you get either up front or that you hear back from your clients? Like, oh, I'm surprised it didn't take that much.
Yeah, and um, it's encouraging to know, right, that especially for those who are looking to get pregnant, this is not something that is going to require a lot of time. Okay, in as little as 3 months, you could find yourself having lost that 5 to 10% that you need in order to improve your fertility. So they're like, oh yeah, and you can go back to your GYN, your OB, your fertility specialist, having lost the weight and resume your fertility treatment.
And I bet it's increasing their risk for the outcome they want because that weight loss probably has lowered their blood pressure. And if they were
Mhm.
diabetic or pre-diabetic, that's gone down. And all those together will help increase their chances.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like you said, it improves their other health markers. So not only do they go into the pregnancy healthier, but and hopefully they can continue those healthy habits that they've established prior to pregnancy after in a postpartum phase.
Wonderful. What are some of the most common misconceptions about the relationship between weight and infertility that you encounter?
Again, that one, it doesn't require a lot of weight loss. Well, let me back up. It's understanding that there is a connection between your weight and your fertility. Um, I think we, just as people, we tend to compare ourselves. Unfortunately, well, this person looks like this. They don't seem to have an issue, having a baby or getting pregnant. What's going on with me? What's wrong with my body? And so just understanding, there is a connection, and this, is could unfortunately be the situation that you're in. So one, even just knowing that that connection even exists. But again, two, just small amounts of weight loss, 5 to 10%, can improve, and it's hopeful. It's promising. It's encouraging, and it leaves the women with some some hope that, yeah, I can do this, and I can feel encouraged that I can have a healthy pregnancy.
And I bet it helps to hear that they're not alone, right? Because, like when we compare other people, especially if we're
Mhm.
looking at the highlight reel on social media, we can think
Mhm.
that everyone else is getting pregnant, everyone else is having a good outcome except me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, really, seeing a healthcare provider that can explain that to you, and explain that in a way that's non-judgmental and supportive, and provide you with evidence-based education, I believe, also, helps support in healthy outcomes.
Perfect transition. When it comes
Mhm.
to evidence-based practices, how does your practice at Forward Weight and Wellness approach weight management differently when addressing fertility concerns?
Well, I take information from all sources. And ultimately, I believe the patient is the best source. Um, so I really like to lead with being individualized and being personalized. They We call it, motivational interviewing. But I think it really kind of gets to the heart of, well, what's your story? What's your journey? And I like to start there. Also, pull information from the surgical societies, There's clinical practice guidelines from Obesity Medicine Association, from the Diabetes Association. So I really like to stay up to date with the organizations and associations and the bodies as they put together clinical practice guidelines and systematic reviews on how we treat and support obesity and weight management.
Wonderful. And like I said, we're a health literacy podcast. So every time we hear big vocabulary words, we just like to let the audience know what that means, right? So that they're more confident about having these conversations. And so you mentioned system. What did you say?
Systematic reviews, yeah.
Yeah, and so when we talk about looking at credible resources, there's different
Mhm.
levels of credibility. So you have Google, and some things on Google or the internet can be factual, some of them can
Mhm.
be false, and some of them can be a mixture of both. When we start talking about evidence, we're talking about research that's being conducted. And even when we talk about research, there's levels of credibility. And systematic analysis is at the top of what we consider to be of
Mhm.
high credibility. All the other information, all the other types of research can still be of value, but the higher it gets in terms of credibility, the more measures are in place to make sure there's less of our own biases, errors, interference with the data. We can feel a lot more confident that it's more of a reflection of what we can expect in the clinical setting or even in reality. So you mentioned your patients. Can you share a success story or an example of how weight has positively impacted fertility in one of your clients?
Well, I have several patients that comes to mind. In particular, like I said, the whole infertility space kind of found me accidentally, not really necessarily trying to help someone become more fertile and get pregnant, but surprise, here we are, kind of thing. But one patient I have in mind, again, she was in her mid to late 30s, had been discouraged, and when she came into the clinic, um, it was she was scared. She was losing hope that she had been down this road before. Um, at the time, weight management in the clinic setting was not that popular as it is now. Okay, over the last few months, this has really kind of picked up steam and popularity. But a few years ago, that was not the case. So to have to come to someone to help you lose weight is quite humbling. Okay, especially when you thought, and what most people think, that the reason why you have a weight problem is because you have some sort of issue with your willpower, right? You just can't do right. You just won't eat less. You just won't exercise more, and that it's all your fault. And so to see someone for weight management, again, can really be something that is like, well, why do I need this? So first, I always want to encourage people and let them know. And I even share my own personal stories, not necessarily with infertility, but my own struggles with weight. And how the more I learned about the science of obesity and weight management, how it freed me, and really understanding that. So I share my story, I share that information, and I shared that information with this particular patient, and encourage her, like, hey, um, 20 pounds in a few months, all of this will be history for you. So you most certainly can move on. I see you having a healthy pregnancy. And, this is a way to get started, and hopefully you'll continue on with these healthy habits as you move forward.
It seems like the people coming to you are kind of already willing parties. If
Mm-hmm.
that, do you ever encounter people where you have to take the time to help them better understand the role of weight and their fertility?
Um, it's not only in weight and fertility, but just obesity in general. It wasn't until 2013 that we even recognized obesity as a disease. And so up until then, again, a lot of us just kind of took on all the responsibility and all of the fault that came along with it. Um, all of the bias, all of the stigma, we kind of even internalized. And so just having a conversation with people like, hey, you know what, this isn't your fault. Okay, this is, it's a disease. Okay, but it's something that can be managed. And so having those conversations, I think, frees people and frees patients up to really kind of take those steps forward.
And what can those of us in healthcare do to help bring awareness and improve outcomes in all communities, but especially communities of color?
I think having that conversation, just like I said, with people, one, understanding for yourself as a healthcare professional the science of obesity, and then taking that information into the clinic, into the rooms with your patients, and explaining that to them. That again, this is something that's a culmination of issues from the neighborhood you grew up in, from the foods that you eat and the foods that you actually don't eat, or the foods you have access to and don't have access to. All of these things as a combination, access to healthcare, your genetics, your heredity, bringing that information to the patient so that they feel encouraged, and then like you said earlier, that they're not alone in this fight. And if we come to our patients, as partners, okay, and with that empathy, I think we can help the communities.
Do you have a spiel that you usually give to help your patients better understand the science behind obesity when it comes to infertility?
Um, I wouldn't say I necessarily have a spiel when it just as it relates to infertility. But I like to always give this example when I personally was in the whole rat race of trying to diet and lose weight. On Mondays, I was, golden child, right? I got my diet plan. I'm sticking to it. I have it printed out. It's on the refrigerator. I went to the grocery store. I've meal prepped. I'm going to do it this week, right? Okay. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's getting hard. It's getting real hard. And, the snacks are calling me, the sugar is calling me. And what I like to tell patients, it wasn't necessarily that I didn't have good intentions. It's hormones. Okay. And hormones aren't something that we don't really know that this is going on in our body. This is Mother Nature. Okay. And so as there's specific hormones that help us with hunger, and there's hormones that help us feel satisfied after our meals. And so when we decrease our calories too much, those hunger hormones specifically, they go up, okay, and they increase, and that's what fights against us. And so that's what happened with me throughout the week. By the time I really had kind of cut those calories, by the end of the week, those hunger hormones would go up, which is why I really struggled with sticking with any kind of weight management plan, long term, not fully understanding nutrition. And so that's what I really try to get people to understand. It's Mother Nature, so you really want to work with the hormones in your body in terms of nutrition and weight management. And over the long term, hopefully you'll be able to get to your goal.
Curious, just because of my own experience, do you talk
Mhm.
to your patients about how important it is to get quality sleep in order to lose that weight?
Absolutely, and especially this time where you find yourself just scrolling, all night long, or just ruminating over thoughts and ideas throughout the day, or thinking about the next day. There's so many reasons why we kind of struggle with our sleep, um, but it's a cycle. So you don't get proper sleep today. You wake up and you're tired and you're hungry and you're craving the next day. You don't have the same, sort of strength to fight those cravings. Not even from just a hormone perspective, just overall, just willpower. Just I just don't have the energy to even do it. And so I tell patients it really starts with your sleep. Okay. And you really want to prioritize that. Get yourself in a routine, and then that'll set you up for the next day for success.
Yeah, as someone who I worked nights for 10 years,
Yeah.
and as someone who, I could tell you I'm good on now when I was working, mostly I got 6 hours, but as I entered entrepreneurship, I can tell you, oh, I'm getting 4 hours of sleep. I'm doing this, you got to sacrifice somewhere, right? But
Mm-hmm.
in that effort, it became really hard to lose weight. And I started looking at my sleep and my fluid intake. And man, that sleep I have a much greater appreciation for it. And I think in our culture,
Mm-hmm.
because we do kind of value hard work, we put that ahead of the horse, right?
Mm-hmm.
That the more you do, the more you can pile on your plate. We know our students, they're working 2 jobs, they're in school full time, they're starting families, they're starting businesses.
Mm-hmm.
We're putting on a lot, and that's being glorified. There's overtime
Mm-hmm.
available. You can pick up a shift here, you can add on another day of work and see new patients. And in none of that conversation do we say, oh, but how much sleep are you getting? Did you make time for rest? Did you make time for mental clarity, for solitude?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, it's extremely important. And I like to use the analogy, when you walk in the ICU or intensive care unit, everyone's sleep, right? Everyone's it's a medically induced sleep or coma, but they're sleep because that's how we repair our bodies. Okay, that's how we recharge both physically and mentally. And so, from a weight management perspective, absolutely, sleep is probably the most one of the most important aspects.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned the repair part because, like I said, we talk about building so much. We're in a capitalistic society, right? And we don't talk
Mm-hmm.
enough about, well, as you're building, or before you build, or after you build, or while you're building, you got to take time for that Sabbath, right? And that rest and
Mm-hmm.
just reflection, too.
Absolutely.
So, who's on your team at Forward Weight and Wellness?
It is me. It is me, myself, and I.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
you're that person I just talked about.
right. I'm doing everything, but I'm definitely pacing myself.
Okay.
I have a vision of, or an idea of how many patients I can see in any particular day. I allow time for administrative duties that go with being an entrepreneur. I allow time to be out in the community. So I have a mixture. I'm well organized, I guess the best that I that I can be at this point. Um, but yeah, eventually I'll probably look into an administrative assistant, and then I'm also thinking about a community health worker that will help assist with some of the education
Mm-hmm.
that I do out in the community, and with some of the community partners. So.
Excellent. We'd love to hear it. Let's talk about the
Mm-hmm.
patient experience. So, someone's listening to you, they want to start a journey with you. Can you walk us through visiting your website to scheduling an appointment, the visit itself, and then the follow up?
Yeah, so everything's online, thanks to telehealth and telemedicine and the good old internet here. You manage everything online. So you go to the website forwardweightandwellness.com, you click on make an appointment, select whatever day and time works for you, and your appointment's made. That comes to me. At that point, you will receive an email with some information about what you can expect from the visit. some links in terms of completing histories and a discussion of your goals. We will conduct a visit virtually. Okay, so just like we're online now with a camera and a microphone here. So you can see me, I can see you. We'll talk about your history and kind of what your goals are. By the end of the appointment, we'll have a solid plan in terms of what your weight management treatment plan will look like. We will also discuss any medication options you may be interested in terms of assisting you with meeting your weight management goals there as well. I also like to do a lot of education, okay, in terms of what are the best foods to help us reach our goals. So we'll talk about nutrition, we'll talk about physical activity, love to talk about sleep, as you said, Dr. Madison, and stress as well. So these are all the things that help us not only lose but also maintain our weight. And so I really like to dig into those, just the good foundations there. Um, After our first appointment, or by the end of our first appointment, we'll talk about how often, okay, you could expect to follow up. So this isn't a one and done visit. Obesity is a chronic disease, and therefore requires chronic treatment. So we'll establish when you'll follow up, how often you'll follow up, and the best way to reach me in between visits. Okay. You'll have access to information online in terms of meal plans. Again, the basics of obesity and weight management as well. I have a secure online portal with information that you'll have access to. And you also have some access to information on the website. So again, I really like to back all of not only the visit, but the follow-up and the treatment plans with everything that's evidence-based in the community, in the weight management and obesity community.
And remember, everyone, evidence-based means it's not based on her opinion or what she just likes. Although over practice, we do have preferences, but it
Mhm.
means that we've done a lot of research, and according to the majority of the data, this is an intervention or treatment that's going to have really good outcomes for most of the people who try it. How many days a week are you open?
3 days a week. I have slots for patients, but I'm open every day. Like I said, I'm doing everything. So in some way, shape, or form, I am either seeing patients or uh, completing some sort of administrative duties as well.
And you're open, you see patients just in Ohio?
Just in the state of Ohio.
And
Mhm.
those are, I guess, for if I'm going to book an appointment, is it morning and evening options, weekend?
Morning, evening options, weekend by request.
Oh, okay.
And if anyone's interested in, I say that on the website, just feel free to email me. I could likely make accommodations for different work schedules and things like that.
And that first visit, it sounded like a full visit. Do you do consultations too?
Um, I will say informally, I'll do a consultation. So if someone calls and they have a question about again what the process looks like, maybe even what the medication options are, what kind of insurance do you take out, answer questions like that. Anything more specific, I request that, a formal appointment be made so we can, really kind of dig into the details of it and I can provide the best answer to the patient.
And you mentioned payments. I heard insurance. You accept insurance, and do you do cash payments as well?
Yes, I do both. There's specific plans here in the state of Ohio that I accept, and there's also cash and private pay options for patients as well. Mhm.
Wonderful. And what services do you offer?
So it is medical weight management. So just like any other office visit that you would get with your internal medicine or maybe even a primary care provider, just specifically to weight management. So again, we go over your full history. come up with your treatment plan, any prescriptions you may be interested in or that you can safely take. I also order labs. Uh, I'm a data kind of girl. I love numbers. So the more information I can get, and I think patients appreciate that as well. Just having more insight into what's really going on from a holistic standpoint. So we will order labs and review them as well. And again, providing that education and support.
Wonderful. And I was gonna say something you mentioned. Oh, so when you talk about medications, are you talking about things like Ozempic, Wegovy?
Yeah, the big hot ones out there.
And you're doing them just the pure medicine, or you're doing compounds
So it just depends on what is
available?
appropriate for the patient. Yeah, what's available, what's appropriate for the patient. I always like to keep safety in mind.
Okay.
And when it comes to prescribing anti-obesity medications, and that's kind of how we uh, like to, phrase it for those out there. They're not just weight loss medications. Again, we're treating the disease of obesity, so they're anti-obesity medications. So all the FDA or government-approved options. Mhm.
And I see your credentials. You're adult, or you see the whole lifespan?
Adult geriatric, which includes adolescents. So I do have quite a few adolescents. As you know or may not know, our adolescents and our young adults also struggle with obesity as well. And so I'll often get requests from family members, hey, my son, my daughter, also could use your help. So I will see, teens and adolescents as well.
Wonderful. And you brought up something we'd like to touch base here on. Me, Geraldine, and Alicia were three Black straight females. And so we like to always consider people who don't sit at our table. So we like to bring attention to vulnerable populations, make sure that we don't overlook them. And so you
Mhm.
mentioned adolescence. So what age are you seeing the youngest?
Uh, yeah, about 12 to 13 or so. Um, as long as they have reached puberty, that's where I can pick up seeing them.
And do you have an age limitation on someone coming to you strictly for weight management?
No, no age limitations. Again, obesity is a chronic disease. So 70s, I will say it's probably probably the oldest that I've seen. But yeah, definitely no limitations there.
And do you have special services for the veteran population?
Not necessarily, but so I I'm open. Uh, I'm open to everyone.
And have you, I don't know if you have anything for people whose English is not a first language or who have sensory deficits like vision or hearing.
No, unfortunately, I don't. That's probably something that I probably need to look into. But at this time, I'm not able to provide those services. Mhm.
And then the LGBTQ plus community, do you do anything particular for them?
Not anything particular, or I guess sort of called out. I like to say I'm open for everyone.
Okay, that's
Okay.
what we want to let people know.
Yeah.
We like to promote inclusive environments, and so we want to make sure
Mhm.
people know that we see them.
Absolutely.
And because of your credentials, are you doing hormone therapy at all to help with the
Uh,
weight management?
no, the obesity is enough. So so no home run therapy at this time.
All right. How can people connect with you and learn more about what you offer?
So they can come to the website, forwardweightandwellness.com. They can also look me up on LinkedIn. I have both a personal page and a business page, forwardweightandwellness.com. I also have a Instagram page as well.
Are you open for speaking engagements? You know, one of our recent guests, right after her show aired, shout out to Ashley Wynn Grimes. She came and did medical cannabis for breast cancer awareness. And maybe within 48 hours, she got an invitation to appear on a radio show. So I'm just letting you know you should have your pitch deck ready.
Yeah, definitely open, and that is a very interesting topic. So I have to I have to look her up. But yeah, I'm definitely open for speaking engagements and any additional podcasts as well.
Wonderful. Any key
Mhm.
takeaways for the listeners that they can remember when it comes to weight management and fertility?
Just it's not your fault.
Oh,
I wish this is something that I wish I had understood early on in my years and in my journey of trying to lose weight. I really wish I had kind of got that empathy and support and that understanding from my healthcare providers. But it's not your fault. You can certainly move forward. I don't care how many times you have tried to diet or how many times you have tried to, lose the weight, or even how many times you have, attempted pregnancy. Keep trying, keep making those changes, stay encouraged. You most certainly can do it. And there's somebody, and I'm sure there's other healthcare professionals as well, who are willing and able to support you.
well, we can't thank you enough for spending time with us, letting us showcase your expertise. We thank you for your dedication to the practice. You've been doing this for decades. We're going to look up all your publications and any books that you have in the works. And we just thank you for your compassion. And you brought up some really important points about empathy. Sometimes that gets lost in the conversation because obesity is something we can see, right? And we can be very judgmental very quickly. But all of us have something that we can work on that is invincible. And we can hide that and no one ever knows that we're struggling. And so obesity tends to be one of those things that it doesn't get the empathy that that it deserves. So thank you for bringing that to our remembrance.
Thank you.
Remember, everyone, you can send us your questions and show ideas to tmi.melanin@gmail.com. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms. Say hello in the comments when you get there and leave a thumbs up. It lets the algorithm know that this information is important so that when people like you look for information like this, we'll show up higher in the search results. You can find all the resources that we mentioned, how to connect with our special guest here today. All of that will be in our description box, as well as all of our links. At the time of this filming, if you've watched us for the last almost 2 years, you know sometimes we change things around. But at the time of this filming, we release new videos on Sundays at noon Eastern on every platform. The audio drops at 5 a.m. on your favorite podcast app so that our night shift friends can be the first to get something and not the last. And our day shifters have something to listen to and on the way in, and maybe someone will play during huddle and let us know about it. We thank you so much for spending your time with us, and we'll see you next time.